Hello, last time we added this post form and today we're gonna show them in a list down here. Alright, the first step is to come here to the queries.sql file and create a new query. This is the query to retrieve a list of posts, so this must be of type many. And we're gonna do a select from the post table. And we're gonna join it with the users table. And also we're gonna sort them. So we're gonna take everything from the post and just the username from the user table. Alright, that's it. As you know, this is gonna be a social network, and normally you expect here to see the posts from the people you follow, but we don't have followers yet, so for now this is gonna retrieve all the posts from the system, but we're gonna change it later. We need an additional query to retrieve a single post. It's gonna be pretty much the same, but we're gonna filter by ID. Alright, that's it. Now in the post service, we're gonna add two methods. Let's run SQL generate first. And there we go. This is just a wrapper over the post method. Same for a single post, though we're gonna validate the post ID. That's it. So if the ID is not valid, we're gonna return an error. Let's define this error up here. There we go. Now we can try to test this. So the post function doesn't return any errors, any known error. Doesn't even perform authentication, so anyone can retrieve the list of posts or a single post. So we're just gonna test the OK case. Alright, that's it. We are just asserting that we don't have any error. And for each post we get, we check that it's not a zero type. Let's do the same for the post. So for a single post, we can test the invalid ID case. So let's pass here something invalid, like this. We can also test for the post not found. So in this case, we need to pass a valid ID, but that doesn't exist. And we expect to get post not found. And finally, we can try the OK case. So for the OK case, we expect no error and that the resulting post is not zero. So let's give this a try. Alright, we got two errors. So on the first one is the not found. And we expect to get not found, but we got this SQL error. And for the next one, we got basically the same. So let's try to fix them. So we need to add an error for this. So we come here, and the reason is because this is performing under the hood a query route to doing a scan. So here this can fail with this error. So let's add a handler here. So in case we found this SQL error, we are going to return with this one instead. Alright, otherwise we are just going to continue. I don't like to have this SQL check up here in the service. Ideally I will have it in the query, but this is code that is being auto-generated and we must not edit it. So for now we're gonna leave it here, but later in the series we're gonna move it to the queries. But for now it's okay though. So let's give it a try. And now it should pass on the not found error. But on the OK case, it's gonna fail still because we're passing a random ID. It's never gonna find a post with that. So I'm gonna create a function to generate a valid post. And Copilot did generate almost everything. I think we just need to change here the user ID. The user ID should come from the arguments. Yeah, that's it. Pretty nice. So here now we can generate a user, generate a post, pass in the user ID, and here we can pass the new post ID. Alright, now everything should be working fine. So we're going to continue and go to the handler now. So in the home handler, in the data, we're going to add our post, like so. And in the template for the home page, we're gonna do a range over all the posts. And on each post, we're gonna display an article, and that is gonna be defined in a new template here in the include directory. So here is gonna be an article tag with a div, a link to the user maybe. So we're gonna display the username, another link to the post. And for this one, we are gonna display the time of the post, like so. And down below, just the content. There we go. Now we can come back here and include the template. And don't forget to pass the pipeline here. So now back in the home handler, and around here, we're gonna call our post service. In case of error, I want to display an error page, so we're gonna create that now. So this is gonna have a title, a subtitle, and display the error in a code tag. That's it. Now let's create the handler and render for that. So the first step is to parse the template. I place it wrongly, so here, let's move it. There, let's also define the data, which is just an error. And let's create a utility function to render it. In this case, I'm not gonna pass the status code because that is gonna be taken from here, and we're also gonna receive an error simply. So we can pass the error to the data here. And let's don't forget to mask the error to the front end. There we go. So now let's back here to the home handler, and we can call our render error function. There we go. So now we just need to pass the post. And sure enough, there are our posts. Let's create a new one. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. I think they are out of order though. So here in the post query, we are ordering by ID, but it's not in the sending order. So let's generate again. Oops. Again. And restart the server. There we go. Now the latest one is at the top and the older one is at the bottom. So now I want to display this time in a local time instead. Actually, I want to use an ago format. For that, I'm gonna use a little bit of JavaScript. In the web directory, I'm gonna create a new one for static content. And inside here, I'm gonna create a JavaScript file, time ago. And here, I'm gonna define a new custom element. There we go. Now we have this new tag. So in the post article template, we're gonna grab our time with this time ago element. And like so, now we can come here to the element, and there is a method called connected callback. And this method gets called when the element renders into the page. So we can query stuff here. So we can retrieve the element from the DOM, and we are gonna select the time element and retrieve its datetime property. Let's quickly do a check before. So if the element is not found or if it doesn't have a datetime, we're gonna return. Otherwise, we're gonna parse this datetime and set it into its text content. For that, I'm gonna use a library, this one, neatime, but I am just gonna copy and paste it because it's very short. Let's paste it here. Let's fix this. There. And now here we can set the element text content to this function. And we need to pass the datetime. All right. Now this JavaScript file needs to be included in the HTML. So first we need to serve these files. So here in the handler, we're gonna come and everything in the root directory, is gonna be served by this static handler. All right. Up here, I'm gonna embed the static directory. And since I am serving them from the root path, we need to trim the static part from the path. So there is a method for that called sub. And we pass our file system. And the path we need to remove, which is static. If this fails, I'm just gonna panic. It should not, so it's safe to put here. And we're just gonna return a file server using this, like so. So now, let's refresh the page. And if we go to our JavaScript file, there we can see that it's correctly being served in the root URL. All right, let's get back. Now we need to go to maybe in this post article, and we need to make sure to include the JavaScript file. For that, here in the layout, I'm gonna create a new section using a block. And this section is gonna be called the head. So from the article, I can come here down below and define the head. And inside of here, I can include the script file. And this can be async. And there we go. Now the post time is in this Go format. So let's create a newer one. And this was created just now. All right, now I also want to make sure that URLs are linkedified. So for example, I want to make this link to be clickable. So for that, we're gonna use this library right here. So we're gonna do a go get. And here in the renderer file, where we parse the templates, we're gonna create a new set of functions. Let's define them here. And let's create one for linkify. So this function is gonna take some string and return some HTML. And the first step is gonna be to initialize the URLs, regex. So with this new package, there are two regex we can use. One is the relaxed one and the strict one. I think I'm gonna use the relaxed one. And with this, we just need to return a template with some HTML inside. And we're gonna use our new regex and replace every URL by a clickable link. Here I'm gonna add a target blank. So links that user click are gonna be open in a new tab. And this rel is for security concerns. So now, in the post article template, we can use our new function here. And there we go. Let's refresh the server. And if we restart here the page, there we can see that this link was correctly converted to a HTML link. But now there should be an issue here. Let's see. Here I wrote some HTML, and let's see what's happened when we post it. It did create an actual HTML button. And even worse, we can even submit some script tags. You can see that alert. This is because if we inspect the content, the script was embedded as a real HTML script, was not escaped. So actually, if we come here to the template and we remove our linkify function and restart, and we come back, you can see that the script is being correctly escaped, the button 2. If we inspect the source of this, here you can see that the angle brackets and quotes and everything is being correctly escaped. So by introducing our linkifying function, we introduced this security concern. There is an easy fix for that. We're gonna come here. Let's revert this. And here we just need to escape HTML. And this is gonna make sure to escape everything before, and then it's gonna replace the URLs by a link. So now we can see this is fixed. The script tag is not working anymore. The button is not a button, but the link is working. Nice. All right, the next step I'm gonna do is to make this link to the post clickable. So here in the post article, and this is the link, and this is gonna go to the /post. And here I'm gonna pass the post ID. All right, now we need to create a page for this. So here in the template, let's create one for the post. And this one is very simple. We just need to include the post article template, and we need to pass a post. So let's come here to the post handler and parse the template first. Let's define the data. Let's create the handler. And let's register this handler in the roots. There we go. So this page is gonna be shown in this path, /p/ and post ID. So to get the post ID from the URL path, we need to call this mux URL parameter function. We pass the context and the parameter name, which is post ID. Now we just need to call our post service. Let's create an utility function to render the post. And there we go. So down here we can call this, and we pass the post here. All right, that's it. So we can refresh the server, come back, and if we click on one of these times, we can see the post page. And because we are using the same template for displaying the list and on the post page, of course, the links are working in both places. Let me do a minor change here. So here I want to make sure that the username is displaying line. There we go, much better. Just so you know, this CSS here is only temporal. We're gonna improve it a lot later. That's why I am using this classless water CSS. All right, to finish today, I just want to make sure that we have a common header for all pages. So here I want to make sure to display a link to the home page, the current logged in user, maybe logout. So here in include, I'm gonna create a new header. And inside the header, I'm gonna put what we have in the home page, this part right here. So I'm gonna take it, there. So I want to make sure to display a link to the home. Maybe we can show a link to the user profile. We don't have that yet, but it's just an indicator. The button to log out and a link to the login page. All right, that's it. Let's refresh this. No. We need to go to the layout, and here we need to include the header. Make sure to pass the pipeline here. All right, there is the header. Let's add a simple line here. There, much better. Now, if we go to a single post, you can see it fails. Yeah, this is because the session is not on all templates. So let's add it. So in all data extract, we need to make sure that the session is there. So on a single post, here we need to initialize the session. So the post is done. Now here in the login, here we need to initialize the session, and here too. And here too. For the home I think is already done. Yeah, it's ready. And for the error, we're gonna need it too. But notice that in this case, we don't have the request here, so we're gonna need to pass it. So in all the calls to render error, we need to pass the request. There we go. Sure enough, we have the header now in the post page too. We can log out and go to the login page, and it's there too. I'm gonna copy a random ID here, and let's go to a post and go to this ID. So even in the error page, this is a post that doesn't exist. We can see that the header is included. All right. I think that's everything for this video. We covered quite a bit, so make sure to leave any question down below, and I'm gonna see you in the next one. See ya.